So if you can, I think it's kind of a nice thing to be able to fill these in if you have a puncture that's close enough and you have a needle that's long enough. What I'm going to do is go in through where we went our cheek, where we did our cheek a little earlier, and I'm not going to inject antegrade here. I just am going to advance my needle, and I'm completely subdermal. I'm pretty much in the fat here. And I just advance. I want to go underneath that nasolabial fold. And I can kind of tell I'll get a little resistance as I go underneath it. And then what I'm going to do is then I'll inject. And this will be maybe a little pinch, especially by your nose, because your nose is a sensitive spot. But I want to fill up that little piriform fossa there at the top of the nasolabial. And I can feel the edge of my needle is just right there. And it's usually a place you're injecting pretty deep, so it takes a fair amount to lift it up. But can you see, hopefully you can see that it's just lifting up a little bit. I'm going to redirect and just go back up to the very top of it. So I'm right in the crease there. And I'm going to pull back. Now I'm only injecting when I'm on the medial side of the crease. But you can see I can lift this area up. You can definitely feel it. I'm going to redirect and go back and get the bottom part of it. So I'm not injecting antegrade here, I'm just advancing the needle. My fingertip is right where the needle is, the tip of the needle. I'll put another little bolus in there. And then come back. Sometimes here you even get a little bit almost like adhesions where the smile lines are. Go down just a little bit farther and use the very last amount there. And then we'll just mold it a little. Was that pretty sensitive up by your nose there? Yeah, thank you for making it look easy. Because I know that even with the lidocaine in it, it stings a lot right in that spot. Everything makes your eyes water in that spot. Here I'm going to be superficial because these lines are just adherent. And so what I want to do is I'm going to inject as I go in and let some of that lidocaine work. And you can tell I've got my needle right at the surface. It's usually going to be intradermal here, deep dermal. But I want to be able to see it fill. And if I stay deep here, it'll just make a bulge, but the line will still be at the surface. And it's almost a matter of subcising these little laugh lines with the needle. So you see, once I have a little lidocaine in there, I want to loosen that skin up a little bit. That's what makes these little parentheses lines so hard to fill well, is that because they're secondary to muscle use, they seem to just get a little adherent, and you overfill them and people kind of feel like they look like a chimp because it makes their mouth too pronounced. So it's easy to make it look ridgy if you use too much. And it's nice too with the lidocaine in it because then I can manipulate it afterwards and it's not really sore. See a little counter traction, and then I kind of spread it apart and then aim the tip of my needle up towards the surface to just subside as I go up. And you feel a little bit of resistance, almost like a little, I hate to say the word tearing, but you feel a little bit of tearing because you're loosening up the little tethers that pull those lines in. And then you're filling it in where you've loosened up the tethers. Hopefully you can see that, because now you can see that it's not that depression at the surface now is better. I'm going to just kind of follow it up. You can always pinch it between. You want to kind of make it feel like a smooth, just a smooth firmness under the skin, but that'll be gone within a week or so. So I'm going to go through the previous little hole in advance. This might be a little pinchy because we don't have any. I'm not injecting as I go. I just want to get the needle to the medial to the nasolabial fold. And usually up at the top of this piriform fossa, it's a little stingy, so I just inject real slow. Sorry, and you get bubbles too. But it's definitely subdermal, almost down to the bone. See where the bubble went in, definitely. I'm going to just turn a little bit superior and get the top of it. This is probably the stingiest part. I'm trying to keep my needle at the same depth. Now I'm inside the fold. And then redirect. And I'm just not injecting until I'm inside the fold. Sorry. And I just have to use my Fairlight because these longer needles are a little more difficult to keep in the same level. And I'm just going to put a little strut up here because I want to pull it up. And then we'll mold. Since this is our deepest side, then what we'll do is we'll go back and get the rest of the fold that's intradermal. This fold here, we'll inject intradermal to try to lift up that part near the surface. So this is an intradermal injection. So I have some resistance as I go in that continues because I'm still in the intradermal, so bottom of the dermal layers. But it'll help pick up these superficial lines. And we've already put in a layer to lift it up from underneath. And then we get down and get the bottom part there. So I just lift it apart, put a little downward traction, and then I'm going to go up and stay intradermal to get this kind of this superficial line that's really secondary to the muscles when she smiles. And even subsides it a little bit to loosen it up. And then we're going to come across and just do some struts underneath it and get the corner of the mouth too. And there's a little pinch. So you can kind of see the tip of the needle loosening it up right where that junction was. These look so easy to fill, and they're so hard to fill to look normal because of the way they want to pull in when you smile. And you try to tell people not to smile for the first day or two after they have this done, which is impossible. But if they could, it would probably help because really it does. The muscles do want to just push the filler right out. But this is a 27 gauge hyaluronic acid filler, so it will probably stay there a little bit better than if it was thinner. A little bit too laterally again.